Hey, Coleman, guess what?
What?
We have a theme song. Maybe.
No, we don't.
Maybe we do. And if we do have one, I'm gonna put it in right here. And if we don't, then there was nothing there.
Just us talking some more.
I had someone make a theme song. We'll see if it's done by now. That's what we're waiting on. So if not, then whatever. And if so, you just heard our first theme song, and we haven't even heard it yet.
I know. Yeah, and if not, we're just where we've been since we've started. So
15 weeks deep, no theme song. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Afterthoughts. This is a podcast where we talk about our first and second impressions of movies. The second impression is crucial to what makes this podcast work, along with a related topic. My name is Joshua Kazemi, and I'm here with my co-host, Coleman Taylor.
Coleman Taylor. That's me.
You just say your own name.
That's just in case we don't have a theme song. I'll just keep singing to make up for it.
Sing like a Pokemon. You only sing your own name.
That's all I'm going to say this episode, so I hope it's a good conversation.
This week we're doing Interstellar in honor of Arrival, another space movie. So another way we're going to honor Interstellar is this podcast should be like 4 hours long, I think.
Yes, I think so too.
Let's just talk about whatever we can to fill that time.
We can just talk about quantum data and what it has to do with love, I guess.
Yeah. I can maybe we'll slow down the track. So we record for an hour, but I'll slow it down to 4 hours. That way we sort of are playing on the time difference that's, time is relative or whatever.
Yeah.
According to this movie.
Smart, yeah. So,
that's what I'll do. It'll be as if you're listening to this from the other side of the wormhole by Saturn.
So it'll be 27 hours for some people, but just 5 minutes for us.
Right.
Let's do it. I'm down. Slow it way down.
I think the first time we saw this movie was together, you and me in the theater.
Yep.
Yeah. This is my third time seeing it. How many times have you seen it?
It's my fourth.
Whoa.
I know.
Fancy stuff.
We saw this as a double feature movie night. You remember that?
Oh, what was the other one?
Oh, come on. It was such a good night. We saw two great movies that night.
Shoot. It's the thing is we did this more than once.
Oh, well, of course. But this was one of the best ones because they were both so good.
Okay, hang on. It's 2014. This is the space movie. It was in the fall of 2014. It's
give
not
you a
Gone
hint.
Girl.
No. They're both kind of science-y. Obviously, this one's really science-y, but the other one is science-y, but...
I remember it.
Yeah?
It's Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6 is right.
Woo! That was a great movie.
Oh, yeah, it was.
That was a good one. That was a good night. You're right.
I know. We'll go down in history.
I'm trying to think. For me, I think any double feature would be a great night. Even if one was bad and one was good. If both were bad, that would probably suck. But I love double featuring. It is so fun.
Yeah, but this was just such a good one.
This was particularly good. You're right.
That's what I think.
Should we talk Chris Nolan a little bit before we get into the Interstellars?
If you want, I mean.
All right. Well, what do you think of Chris Nolan?
I like him. I like what he does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just with every director, it kind of falls into you kind of got the same style at this point. But I think he does it well.
I think he does it well as well. There's one thing about him that I just realized in my rewatch that I'll bring up later that I'm sort of like, oh, that's weird that he does that all the time. And also that I've never noticed it until this time. So I'll bring it up later. But
oh, great. In second impression?
Yes.
No, got a while to go then. I would assume if you just noticed it this last time.
Yeah. But generally, I voice crack. I really like his stuff. I like all of his movies. I like his style. He's just like a really imaginative filmmaker, and I like that he shoots on film. It gives it a nice aesthetic, I think. And I'm just like, every 2 years, I'm excited to see what he puts out. He also works very consistently, which I appreciate. Every 2 years, he's got a movie, except for this year, of course. But for a long time, he's been cranking out really great movies for the most part. And so, going into this, my first impression, I was super pumped about this movie.
What's your favorite Nolan movie?
It's probably Inception.
Okay.
I just love that movie.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Where's Dark Knight fall on the scale?
Dark Knight is probably, if not second, it's like tie with Inception.
So, wait, so they're both first place? Tied for
Maybe.
first?
It's close.
Okay.
Yeah. It's close. And then Memento.
Memento. All right.
Memento's great.
It is. It's so good.
Oh, wait. Where do I put Interstellar?
Where do you put Interstellar?
I don't know. Maybe we'll revisit this ranking at the end.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Nolan movie?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask. I was hoping you just answer and move on. I don't know. It might be Interstellar, but Inception's really good too. Mm-hmm. I would say The Dark Knight, just because I love Batman, and obviously Heath Ledger did wonderful in that one. But I think that's specifically what makes that good. I think it's Heath Ledger's performance. When I go back and rewatch the plot isn't necessarily the best in the world, and it's always left me wanting. But Heath Ledger's performance in that movie is one of the best performances of all time.
It's always left you wanting more organ. Is that what's missing from The Dark Knight?
Wow, I can't believe you're bringing up how much I love the pipe organ. Yes, every
killer
movie
organ score
needs an organ score. Made this movie. You're the worst.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I thought this might be one of your favorites.
It's definitely one of my faves.
Okay, so with this, let's dive into our first. When I first saw Interstellar, I was very impressed with the scope of it. I was impressed that Christopher Nolan decided to do this, to tackle a movie of this scale, because I think a lot of people try it, and it's tough. It's tough to do something this epic and pull it off. And I was just really impressed that this is a filmmaker that's done a lot of work and has still continually pushed himself. And I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was visually stunning. I wasn't super impressed with the storytelling. That was my major takeaway from the movie. I still thought it was very good, and the storytelling is not bad. But I guess I wanted more from it. I wanted to be emotional the way the characters are. I wanted to feel for them, but I just didn't quite get there. I thought it was really long, but it didn't feel long in a bad way. It just feels long. It doesn't drag, I don't think. Yeah, those are sort of the big things. There's other things like the score. We can get into that a little later. What did you think of it?
I think you're heartless for not getting emotional over the characters, but that's whatever. No, the first time I saw it, I loved it. I just got super engrossed with it. Obviously, I loved the score right off the bat, and still love the score. I just loved what it was about. I don't typically like when you get science movies, for whatever reason. I don't like it when they're super realistic. I'm more of a science fiction fan, specifically when you're getting theoretical. Obviously, none of this stuff has happened, so it's still science fiction, but it's realistic science fiction, if that makes sense, compared to anything else really that's way in the future, just guessing where we'll be. But I really liked this one. I liked that it was so realistic, which is unusual for me. Yeah, and I just enjoyed the journey that they went on. I really loved this movie the first time I saw it. Loved it. 5 thumbs up is
I
the
remember
term,
you
I think.
really enjoying it.
Yeah. What did you what did you want more from the story?
I don't know. It's I've thought about it, and I don't know what I would do to sort of improve upon it. But it's just there are moments when the characters are breaking down in tears, and I want to be in tears too. And it definitely invokes emotion. I don't sit there like this.
You
means
just don't
nothing
have
to
a
me.
heart, is what you're saying. I want to cry for these people, but I don't have emotions, so I can't.
I guess it's just I don't know. Maybe on some level I feel like the emotional through line in the movie feels a little disjointed to me, or it just isn't. It doesn't pack the punch that I feel like it's aiming for. And I do think it's a very emotional film with a lot of really intense sort of weight to it. But I don't know. The first time, it just didn't hit me at all. The second time we watched it, I think you and I watched it the second time together.
We did.
Yeah. The second time, it grew on me, for sure. Still not quite where I wanted it to be, but I think watching it a second time was a good way for me to just, like, once you know everything that's going on, there are some mysteries throughout the movie, and once you sort of watch it again and you're in on everything that's happening, I think it helps me sort of track with the characters a little bit better. I think I was just distracted by a lot that goes on in this movie. So the second time through, it grew on me, but I still wouldn't say it's quite there. I mean, maybe that's just me having unrealistic expectations.
That's kind of how I feel about The Dark Knight, so it's the same thing. Like, I can't explain what I want more from it, but I do want more from it. It's really weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how I feel. So, I understand what you're saying.
I want a ball, man. I like crying in movies, and the third time through, I haven't cried at this movie. And I want to. No. I'm willing.
I'm willing. The tears just won't come. No, I mean, I've never cried in this movie either. I was definitely emotional the first time I saw it. Whew. Mm-hmm. Specifically when he's leaving the house, and then I think when he sees her finally send him a video, I was like, oh, this hits hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never cried in it either.
And not to say that needs to be the marker. It kind of is for me, but that certainly doesn't have to be the case for everybody.
Yeah, it's also not fair. I don't think I've ever cried in a movie, so you can add that to the gauge. What did you think about the performances? It's a bunch of big names.
I thought they were all great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, generally, like, everybody does a great job in this, and I believe everything that's going on. I wonder if maybe one of the things I didn't track with the movie was just because the character of his daughter is played by so many different actresses, and maybe that's just like some shallowness on my part. I can't. It made it harder for me to track with that character.
By so many actresses, you mean 2?
3. It's 3.
When's the third?
It's the daughter. It's the young girl. It's Jessica Chastain and the old woman.
Oh, of course. That doesn't even count.
But that scene with the old woman, I want that to be like, I want that to be everything. I wanted that moment to be like the emotional climax, but I think the emotional climax of the movie happens much earlier. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really pick that out until this second viewing. Should we just go into second viewings? Or second opinions?
If you're ready for it.
Yeah. So in my second viewing of the movie, I really felt like the most emotional scene in the movie to me is the scene where he comes back onto the station after the water planet, and it's been 23 years or whatever, and he watches all of the movies from the recordings from his family in one sitting, and he just collapses into that chair. I think that's the most emotional part of the movie.
Oh, for sure.
But it's like halfway through. It's like there's still tons of movie left. And there is like a climax in terms of a series of events, but I feel like the most emotional part is in the middle. And from that point, it's sort of, I don't want to say downhill. I think that's too negative, but that's the peak. And at the end of a 3-hour movie, I want the peak to be at the end of the movie.
Yeah. It's definitely the peak emotionally.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely other stuff that keeps you there.
There is a legitimate climax for sure.
Yeah, because that's specifically like sad emotion. I would say that's the saddest part of the movie.
Yeah.
And I get what
That's
you're saying
true.
at the end, because you don't necessarily want to be sad, but the happiness isn't necessarily there either. You're not just as happy as you were sad in that one. Like at the end, you're not equally as happy there as you were sad in that middle part. And I do get that, but I still think there's other emotional highs, and even after that point, just not sad, which is obviously I think the emotion that's gonna tug at your heartstrings the most, so to say.
Yeah, but that's a really good point that you made. Like, it's a sad moment. It's not a cathartic moment. And I think there is some catharsis at the end. But yeah, but also agree that maybe it's not as powerful as that sort of peak sad moment. Mm-hmm. Good point. What did you think of it generally your second time around?
My fourth time around or my second?
Fourth time, excuse me, fourth.
I still loved it, but it was easier to pick apart considering it was my fourth time.
Yeah, man. Fourth time watching this movie is like what, an entire day of watching this movie?
Pretty much. But I still can't help but love it. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of it still has to do with the score, and I still think the performances are all well. It's mostly, of course, as usual, it's the plot that just kind of
Right.
falls apart a little bit. Not as cohesive as when I was just completely engrossed in my first viewing, like not even really caring that much about the plot because I was just so captured by the music and the characters and what was going on. Now that I can more readily view it and see what they're doing, and I'm not distracted as much by what's going on because I already know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It does falls apart a little bit, but I still can't help but love kind of what you said, like the scope he tried to tackle, and I still think he tackled it, even if it's imperfect.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what I do really love about this movie is by the end of it, I feel like I went on a journey. Like, it has such a grand and big impact. I feel exhausted at the end of it, in a good way, as if I went on this journey with them, and it's amazing. Like, at the end of the 2.5 hour movie, I feel the weight of it, and it's kind of intense. It's kind of one of the reasons I don't like it's this double-edged sword. I really appreciate that it has that impact on me, but it also makes me it doesn't make me eager to rewatch this movie because I know it's like an experience. You know, it's like an investment. So the scope of it is so impressive.
Yeah. But as far as the plot, there were just some things that I was like, I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I wrote down, like, why is the son in this movie?
The son?
Yeah. Like, he obviously does some things, but
we're talking
I don't...
space movies, so I was like, they're in outer space, Josh. Of course they're going to see the sun.
That's really funny.
Okay, I'm following you. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Sorry. Casey Affleck. I think...
Yes.
I don't know. It just seems like he loves his daughter. His son is there.
Yep, absolutely.
So that bothers me.
Also, because he's excited to see his daughter when he comes back, and his son's probably dead. And
there's not even like
about it.
Oh, but he's not even like, oh, but I'm going to see my daughter. Great. By the way, where's my son? There's not even that.
No,
it's like
not even a thought. Not even. I noticed that the first time around, and that kind of, but
yeah,
it was whatever. He always clearly loved Murphy more.
Yeah, but and like the way Casey Affleck plays it, I think is great because I think he's playing his side of it. He sort of asks himself, how would this character feel? And there is conflict there. There's anger and frustration, but I think it's one-sided. Like, we almost don't get any of it from the father, you know? Yeah. And I want something there. And I wonder, I haven't looked into it, but I wonder if that was maybe cut from this really long movie. I wonder if there was something more substantial there.
Yeah, some things that... So, the first time around, I'm going to talk about the two of the deaths. So, first time around, I don't like Romley's story. I don't like how tragic it is, I suppose. And I don't... I think it was unnecessarily tragic. Like, it wasn't... Like, he ends up staying for 23 years, 27 years, however long it takes them to get back relatively from the water planet. And then he just ends up exploding. It just, that never sat well with me. But this fourth time around, I guess, I wanted Doyle to be around more. Is that his name? Doyle, I think?
I think
the
so.
guy who dies on the water planet. I think he would have added a really cool element to stick around, just how he specifically thought differently than them and was kind of more aggressive about it than later. And those aren't huge points, but I was just like, man, I really wish Doyle stayed around. Not like, I guess because his death does play a part, so that's why it's in there. It shows that their decisions, like, I get that, but I just wish I liked his character and what he added to the group.
Yeah, I feel that.
But I think my main thing with the plot was just, what exactly does love play? I don't know. It seems really weak.
Sure.
I don't know. So Anne Hathaway ends up being right in the end. They should have just gone to his planet based on her, like, feelings for him. Love really transcends. I don't know. It just seemed like a really... I don't know. It's specifically in the scene where he goes, "It's love, Tars. Don't you get it?" In that scene, he says, "Don't you get it, Tars?" like 50 times, and it's like, how do you know any of these things you're saying right now? You're in the middle of a black hole. How do you just understand these things, Matthew McConaughey, Professor McConaughey?
Yeah.
And I kind of don't. I didn't like what ended up being in the black hole either. I kind of wish they never went in it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because I don't want, or at least don't show me what's in it. The fact that it's there and they can just build this infinite one room over and over. I don't know. It just seemed weird. I would have liked it better if I never saw what was in the black hole. Specifically because in real life, we really don't know what's in a black hole.
Right. But see, I don't know if I agree. Like, I definitely see the appeal of not showing us that, but I think I always tend to like when filmmakers make a decision and say we are going to answer that question and make a definitive choice, because I think it's risky and I don't know. It's kind of like, do you show the Blair Witch or not? I feel like it's, in my mind, those are similar choices. She's scary if you never see her because it's in your imagination, but making a choice to show her, you run the risk of people being underwhelmed. So I don't know. I like the risk taking, but that's certainly an interesting argument.
Yeah. And I feel it's a little different than the Blair Witch Project because that was the buildup for the entire movie. Is the Blair Witch Project. I haven't necessarily been wondering what's inside this black hole the entire movie. And I don't think it would have destroyed me if I didn't know. I think I was just kind of disappointed with what was in the black hole. And then, like I said, just like the line that love plays through that seems so weak.
Yeah, and that's maybe what has been going on in my viewings of this movie the whole time, is that element of the movie is weak, and I want it to be stronger, and I feel like I'd have a more emotional connection to the movie if that element of the movie was stronger.
I think they either should have expanded upon it more or just not had it, replaced it with something else. Because it's just not strong enough for me. Just from that one scene with Anne Hathaway saying they should go, and then the part in the black hole, I don't know. It's not enough, I don't think. And the message is like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that message.
What's the message?
Like, just, I don't know, follow your heart, follow your feelings, I guess.
But I don't know. Is that the message? Because, I mean,
not of the whole movie, but specifically of Anne Hathaway's part.
Okay. Because in the cyclical idea of, like, McConaughey sends himself and that happens over and over again in kind of a way. It's like, if at any point when he decided to go on this mission, if he had followed his heart and his love for his daughter to stay, then he would have never have gone at all. This is confusing already, but it's like, he makes the mistake, and in that way, he gains an appreciation that he might not have ever gained to that extent if he hadn't gone on the journey.
Yeah. And also, I guess, how he's willing to do anything. I mean, he went into the middle of the black hole that he doesn't know what's there just to essentially try and save the people on Earth.
Yeah.
When before all he wanted to do was leave. So that's true. There's definitely growth in it. I guess really it's just how it ends up, I guess. The part in the black hole, like it kind of just feels like we've been kind of building up to this love thing, and then here it is. We're going to plop it on you real quick. It doesn't feel as I don't know, constructed as it could. Like, I think that's literally how when he just says, "It's love, Tars," that's like you're literally just supposed to like grasp that it's love and move on rather than...
Come on, Tars, you idiot. It's love.
Do you have the quantum data? Give it to me in Morse code. Give me this complicated data in Morse code.
Yes, that's the funniest thing in the movie to me, I think. This is like the idea that he's translating the most complicated data that have ever existed into Morse code. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Sure, it's probably possible, but
how long
craziness.
is that? Like, what is he doing? Is he spelling out every letter of these
it's probably
formulas
like
she has to write
two
out?
pages of a spiral notebook, front and back, tops.
Oh.
That's funny. Oh, man.
But I still love this movie.
Yeah.
There's so many scenes that I just like enjoy watching. I still love that scene where he has the spinning scene. That whole sequence, Matt Damon like flying off and them trying to catch up, and then him having to spin to... I don't know.
Yeah.
That scene it just grasps me every time.
Oh, man. Speaking of Matt Damon. Oh, gosh. That was... I so loved not knowing that he was in this movie the first time. It was delightful. Like, I'm so happy that at that point in time in 2014 that it didn't get out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, people kept it a secret. That was so good. So great. Because it's not just like this stunt in the movie. It also plays well in the movie that an actor of worth plays this character of worth, though, and they don't know him, and to meet him there in that moment the way that we are in the audience is awesome. I think it's a great moment.
And I love his character.
Okay. Well,
were you about to say the opposite?
No, but okay. So what was the character's name? The character that blew up, who spent 23 years by himself?
Romley.
Okay, so he spends 23 years by himself. Doesn't Matt Damon only spend like 10 years by himself?
Something like that.
But he seems to be much more affected by the 10 years than he is by the 23 years. Do you know what I'm saying? He has been driven to, not insanity, but he's been driven to the brink of his desperation. And Molly was arguing that, you know, he didn't know anybody was ever going to come, as opposed to the other character who, you know, wasn't sure, but at least, you know, it was a different situation. But I just wondered, like, that's not even close. 23 years and 10 years, that's crazy. So that was one questionable thing to me in this viewing. Like, should he be... I guess he would be that desperate. But it just is like, I don't know. To have those close comparisons, I don't think helps.
Well, to be so desperate as to what? Because as soon I think his desperation came from immediately knowing that he was going to die if he, like, knowing his planet wasn't the one and he was going to die. Because I think that's where his desperation spawned. Not necessarily that it was so long of a time, but that if he didn't push that button, no one was ever going to come for him. He was just dead.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not a huge complaint.
Yeah.
But you loved his character.
Yeah, I just thought I really liked how he performed him. I think he goes just even up to his last line saying, like, it's not about my life or your life, when it's absolutely just about his life. That's all it's about. He was going to maroon them. And then he ends up, like, exploding out of I just can imagine, like, him freaking out in that last moment, because it totally was about his life. It wasn't about the mission at all. Obviously. Yeah. All of it, none of it was about his mission.
Yeah. He's totally, like, the symbol with representation of the selfishness of, like, of human nature. How, like, at our core, for survival, we can be totally selfish. And I think it was important in a movie about like potentially saving the human race to bring up that element, like almost to say like, is the human race worth saving? Because this is what it looks like at its darkest.
Yeah.
I really appreciate his presence in the movie.
And I like that it's kind of subtle. Like, you have to pick up, like, he acts like a really strong character, but really it's not. Like, by him saying that this isn't about me or you, it's about the mission, seems really strong, but really it is about his life. And the part, like, up to him, like, listening and lecturing, what's Matthew McConaughey's character's name? Goodness.
It's like Coach or Coop.
Coop. Yeah.
It's Coop? Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Him, like, lecturing him about it and then being like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I could do this, but I couldn't. And, like, turns out, like, it's just, I really enjoyed that he wasn't just flat out a coward. He, like, acted strong, but then ended up having cowardly aspects. Mm-hmm. Like, he acts like a leader because he did lead the mission, but then is just, in the end, deep down a coward.
Yeah, he's a well-written, complex character for sure.
Yeah. But the one thing I don't get is he is an astronaut, right? So he knows if he's locked on imperfectly, it's going to blow the hatch. Like, that's astronaut 101, right?
Yep, probably.
That's the one thing I didn't get. It's like, how do you not understand? I get you're under pressure. I get they're coming for you, but you got to know that that's going to blow it. That's going to depressurize it, and you're going to go flying into space. How do you do all this studying about being an astronaut and then pull that off? Maybe they didn't teach that in astronaut school. Well, he went like 10 years before them or whatever, right?
He had to go to the Film Actors Guild. Let's talk about the score.
Okay, let's do it.
You love the score.
Yeah, I love the score.
I think it's gorgeous. It's really, really beautiful. I think maybe only a little bit, it could be a little heavy-handed at times.
I can see that.
That's my only complaint.
I can see that, but I don't know. I love it. I think it makes every moment. Even the part where they're on the water planet and you know that they're wasting time. As soon as they get there, a clock starts ticking. I'm like, that's genius. And then they incorporate that into like the music there. I think every song was perfect, spot on. It's
really, really wonderful. Like, I've listened to the score just on its own since I've seen the movie, just because it's beautiful, and there are parts of this score that make your heart beat faster, and it makes your breath shorter. It's so powerful and so well constructed. It really is like a wonderful piece of music. I wonder what won Best Original Score that year. I can't remember.
It wasn't that one, because I remember I wanted it to win, and it didn't.
I wonder what it was. I wonder if it was like something even more amazing.
Yeah, okay, because there's such a thing. I'm really tied to the score. Not just because it's great, but I mean, come on. How much organ is in this score? Let's be real.
Oh, it was the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, that won everything that year. Granted, that's a really good movie, but
yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's really funny.
I hate that I love that movie. No, I really love the score, love the organ, love all the feelings it brings about. I don't know. It's a really good score.
Yeah, for sure. And like from Hans Zimmer, like, you know, he's done a lot of Nolan's movies, and obviously he's done work outside of Nolan's movies, but to pair these two up together again and to have them generate another set of music, I was impressed by how different it is. It's different from the Dark Knight stuff, you know, and his other movies, but you know, it's like another leap, like together, director and composer and everybody on the film sort of felt like we're all going to take this leap together and try to make something bigger than we've ever done before, and you feel it on every level. So, yeah, I was impressed with Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. And I think both the score and the movie, the best way I can describe it is just hauntingly beautiful. Just when I was watching it, that's what I thought. Because it's still, because it's not this bright, cheery movie. It's definitely got this gray, dark undertone, and I think the score matches that so perfectly. And I think that's what I really like about this movie. Just that it captured that kind of tone so well and keeps it throughout the movie.
Yeah, I think that's an apt description for sure. Hauntingly beautiful.
Because there is just something haunting it. Like, it just kind of feels weird. Like, I don't know. Being in space and everything's kind of gray throughout the movie, and I can't even explain it. And I think that's what I like about it, that I can't explain this like feeling it makes me feel.
Just watch it. I can't even explain it. Just watch it. You'll see.
Yes, you'll understand. Especially if you've never seen it. Go watch it for sure.
So, like, overall, your fourth time watching this movie, you could sort of see maybe some plot details that you didn't love, but generally, your opinion of the movie has stayed the same.
Yeah, I'm definitely still on board. I would watch it again sometime.
Yeah.
Probably not tomorrow or anything, but I would definitely watch it again. I'm sure I will watch it again. I think it's a really great movie.
Yeah.
And you?
I think I liked the movie more with each viewing. And that's not to say I ever disliked it. I just my appreciation for it, I think, grows with each viewing because it's a really powerful film. It has this really it captivates you in a really strong way. And I really appreciate that there's a filmmaker out there that's capable of that. It's capable of capturing you.
For sure.
But I'm not super eager to rewatch it anytime soon.
Yeah.
Oy. Are you all interstellared out?
Yeah, I'm stellar, bro.
All right. So there should be a topic time theme as well. So it would go right here or next week or something.
Or something like that.
Great. All right. So, what is our topic? Why don't you take it?
Oh, me? Okay, I'll just take this one. No, we're talking about this resurgence of space movies that have come up recently.
Yes.
Space! Not that space movies have ever died out, but it just feels like that more often now there are space movies coming out every year, and specifically these big, grand space movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, man. I like to refer to these last 3 years as the sort of new space trilogy, even though they have nothing to do with each other. It's Gravity, it's Interstellar, it's The Martian.
Well, The Martian is technically Interstellar too, right?
Sure.
I mean, you got two of the same people in it. Came out right after it, you know.
You got Donald Glover doing an Abed impression.
Oh, goodness.
So, are you like super pumped to be getting great space movies?
I am. I love space movies. And I think...
As am I.
And as I mentioned, I'm typically more into just like way out there science fiction, nerdy, goofy space movies. But I think these like more realistic ones are starting to grow on me, and I like it. I like these. I'll never stop liking the other ones, but these ones are growing on me, and I like them more now, and I really enjoy them.
I enjoy that there's sort of like it seems as though there's this growing commitment to or this attempt to be more scientifically accurate, even if you're going to sort of stretch into fiction, not necessarily science fiction, but sort of take theoretical ideas and play them to be as true as you can at this point in time. I like that attempt is out there because I think it does sort of ground these stories. You know, and what I liked about the Martian a lot is that he's a character whose strength is his knowledge of science. That was what fuels him. It keeps him alive. And I think the fact that the science is as real as it can be it sort of just gives more weight to the idea that he's a character whose strength is in science. You know, it's a good marriage there. So that's why I think I'm starting to enjoy these more realistic space movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. I guess just because it feels so real and it takes out the gimmicky. Like, even in Interstellar, so many of these things aren't real yet, and we don't know what's actually going to happen when these things happen. Yet it still felt really real, and that, like, engrossed me in the movie even more, because they just talked about it like it was like, oh, you don't know this obviously real thing? Like, this is how a wormhole really looks, and things like that. And it was really cool.
Maybe we like it because we grew up with Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Could be it.
And he just sort of like groomed us to love these movies at a young age. Okay, I have two. Well, no, keep going. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, there's also just something so mysterious about space. Like, just, it scares me. I am scared to death of space, even though I will never go into space. Something about space just absolutely terrifies me. But
yeah,
yet,
definitely.
They go on these, like, amazing journeys. And I think that sense of dread, but sense of hope and moving forward combined together, it really draws me to it.
Yeah, dude, I love everything that you just said. Well done. Well said.
Thank you.
That really encapsulates it very well.
Space in a nutshell.
Well, okay, so there's two movies, two recent space movies that I didn't see either of them, but I know that you saw both of them, and so I'm curious about your opinions on. You can take it whatever order you want. Moon from 2009 and Prometheus from 2012.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Moon is good. I need to watch it again. I think it was probably really good. I love Sam Rockwell. But it's also just on the moon and not as much in space.
Okay.
It's still really good, but it's more about, I would say, since obviously it's just Sam Rockwell, it's much more about just his character rather than as much about like journeying in space.
So your critique is not enough space.
Correct. You need more space. No, but I do remember really enjoying that movie, but it's been so long. That would be a perfect one to do for this podcast. But Prometheus, I absolutely hated. First of all, it looks beautiful, so that is the good thing about the movie. I really liked the aesthetics of the movie and thought they did really well with that. And it started out so strong, which is why I think I ended up hating it. It started out with just this android walking around on a ship, which, like, doing perfect things. There's a scene where he's, like, riding a bicycle and then throwing a basketball into a hoop and, like, making it over and over. And it was just interesting. It captured my attention because most movies weren't like that. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a really cool, different movie. I wonder where they're going to go with it. And then as soon as things actually started happening, it just fell apart. So,
yeah, that's a bummer.
It really was a bummer, and it was really unfortunate. But yeah, I would say that's leans more on definitely the like hardcore science fiction side, unrealistic.
Sure. Yeah. Well, okay. What about like WALL-E?
WALL-E. I didn't like WALL-E as much as most people, so.
Ooh, like me.
Yep. Call me blasphemous.
I love WALL-E. Man, I really love that movie. We don't have to talk about it too much, but I might love it.
We can do an episode on it if you want, because
yeah, I think it deserves a whole episode for sure.
Because that and Up, I've only seen once each in theaters in high school. So,
man, you even if we don't do it for the podcast, you owe it to yourself to watch those two again. Those are fantastic movies. Yeah. I think WALL-E was Time Magazine's movie of the year that year. If I'm wrong, then I didn't just say that, but I think I'm right.
Yeah.
Shoot, I had another movie. I have forgotten it. Sunshine.
Oh, come on. Stop bringing up these crappy ones that start off so good and then fall apart. I think that's maybe why older science fiction movies before this trilogy you speak of, aren't as good. They start off so well, and then they try and find this, I don't know, plot device, I guess, that just doesn't suit their movie. Like, Sunshine started out so well because it was just the crew, and their captain ends up dying, and it's the crew, like, arguing about what is going to happen next and all of these things. And then halfway through the movie, it devolves into this kind of thriller. There's this man who is affected by the sun and is trying to kill them all. And it wasn't as good as it started out.
It sort of maybe was like trying a little too hard to reinvent the wheel instead of like, we all love the space wheel. You don't have to change it. Just give us a good space wheel.
Yeah.
That's
why I think they're doing so well. I like the way it's going now. And
yeah, so I was going to ask. So did you like Gravity?
I did. I loved Gravity.
I did too. Not everybody does though. Like some people really don't care for it, and I guess I could understand that you have an opinion that's different than mine, but it's weird. I just love Gravity. I'm a sucker for a oneer, and the movie is like 4 oneers. I love those long, continuous takes, even if they're constructed to be that way. In this particular movie, I really love that. The aesthetic of it is awesome, and it's just like a really tense space thrill ride kind of a thing. It doesn't have a super compelling story, but it works and it's good. It's solid. It carries that fun adventure, and I really appreciate it. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't deserve this, but I do sort of credit it as this resurgence of great space movies.
Yeah.
If not a resurgence, a continuation.
Well, whatever it is, I hope they keep going with it.
Well, have you seen the trailer for Passengers?
I have.
What do you think?
I'm interested. I wanted to
predictions.
I mean, it kind of starts out with what I like, just 2 people alone on this ship, which kind of goes back to what Prometheus started out as, except for it was only 1 android, which kind of made me more interested. But I'm curious to see how it'll go.
Yeah.
I think it could go either way.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess that's more or less how I feel. Like, I'm definitely going to check it out at some point, but I fear that it's going to devolve into like a generic mess.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where I lean. I don't know what necessarily it is about that trailer, but I feel like this is going to be the bust. And maybe not the bust that ends it, but sort of one of the, like, at this point it's going to be the 4th big fall space movie release, and people are going to maybe start to feel that as they go into it.
No, I'm just curious, like, what they'll do. If there's anything interesting or something that'll surprise me that they do. I think that will be the one thing they can do to, like, they're keeping it from the trailer on purpose, and then just kind of surprises me either plot-wise or, I don't know, just something surprising rather than your run-of-the-mill, they were awoken for a reason, whatever.
But I think that's what I'm more interested in, like Arrival, the movie that we're sort of honoring this week. But I'm interested in that trailer or that movie because I feel like I'm interested in sort of seeing another space movie, but from another perspective. And I like the idea of following a character that's whose sole mission is to try to communicate with life from another world. Like that's an angle of it that I think will be refreshing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see.
My only thing about Arrivals is I feel like there's so many aliens arriving from space movies. And granted, I do agree it'll be a cooler spin.
Yeah.
Focusing on the communication aspect of it, but I just hope it doesn't end up like all the others because there are a ton of alien arrival movies.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed indeed.
Should we wrap it up?
I think so.
All right, listeners, what's your favorite recent space movie? Let us know. We want to know. You can tweet at us. I'm at Joshua Kazemi. Coleman's at
Cole Tailored.
Exactly. Next week's movie is going to be on Give me a second. I think it's Harry Potter, right?
Is it Harry Potter?
I think so. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Indeed.
In honor of the new Harry Potter movie. So throw on your glasses and carve a scar into your forehead and get ready to listen to Afterthoughts next week.
Yeah, just carve a scar into your forehead to listen to our podcast. That's a new requirement.
Accio Band-Aid.
Are you sure it's not Asio?
I think it's definitely
Just
Accio.
kidding. I'm going to say Accio. I don't ever want to call it Asio. It's got two C's.
No, thank you.
That drives me insane.
All right. And if there's ever a week where you haven't seen a movie but you want to just check out the topic, you find the topic interesting, you can jump right to it. There's always going to be a timestamp in the description, along with a lot of other great things you can check out in the description. And yeah, if you thank you for listening. If you want to keep supporting the podcast, continue to listen, subscribe, write us a review on iTunes, and share the podcast with a friend. Those would be great ways to help us get new listeners, and that would generally be a great thing. So thank you for listening. And that's it, man. That's
That's
show.
it.
Ooh, I'm gonna close with a space quote.
With a space quote?
Kind of. I mean, not
No.
really, but I'm just gonna do it.
Was it something that was quoted in space or a quote about space?
Kind of neither.
Okay. Go on.
To infinity and beyond.
Oh my gosh. Get out of here.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Do we have an ending theme?
Yes, hopefully, or not. So it's kind of the gamble we've been playing this whole episode.
I guess we'll find out.
We will. All right. See y'all.
See y'all.